Hi everybody, I'm Paul from Canadian Woodworks and Legacy Lumber, and this video is a how-to build video for my dining chair number 8 and my dining chair number 9. If you didn't already know, we offer digital templates, paper templates, or laser cut plywood templates for both of these designs as well as other designs in my own chairs. These are in the Sam Maloof style, and with this video and those templates, you'll be able to fabricate chairs just like this. Hope you enjoy the video. This one is a long one. It's close to 50 minutes long. Very, very detailed on this full build process. Make it a great one. Okay, so here's the chairs we're building. Dining chair number 9 with arms, obviously heavily Sam Maloof influenced, and Hal Taylor also. He's who I initially learned chair building from, but I did draw these myself on the side of a piece of plywood to start these templates. I think it's a pretty darn sexy chair. It's super comfortable. So I got the Hal Taylor style back supports. I got a Hal Taylor style adder block. So when the arm comes into the leg, it has a nice curve to it. So we're doing this out of Wormy Soft Maple. Matt's working on the seats now. I'm going to be jointing planing this. So this is rough lumber. Let's see what we can do in one shot on here. Get this thing going. There we go. All right, I'm going to try and do this one-handed. I'm going to switch it up a bit. Here we go. Okay. Get my hip into it a little bit. I want to do the cup tackle. Cup down. Okay, cup is going down. There she goes. I'll do number 2 right after it, I think. I'm going to try and do it like this. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh! I like having it end to end like this. There we go. Got it. That was, okay, so if I go, I want to hold it there. If I go fast enough, yeah, this is a piece of the machine. Look at this. Both of those boards are in there right now. Oh, this one's coming out. Oh, baby, that was bad. So the back one helps push this one, right? Oh. Okay. See how we did. Woo! Not bad. See how we did here. I think we got it. Yeah, there we go. Both sides. I can leave that hanging there. See? Sweet. So Matt's over here dressing the seats. That'll be seat number 1. And he's just got the king jointer spiral head working away. All right, Matt's cleaned up all the edges at the jointer, at the table saw. He's gonna get the seat blanks glued together. I've dressed the boards for the legs. You can see how I lay them out here. And there's minimal waste, which is nice. So we're gonna trace these, cut these out of the bandsaw, leave a little bit of extra material at all the flat spots, clean those up either at a disc sander or edge sander. Looking good. Okay, I've got the legs cut out for the dining chair number 9. This is the armless version. And you can see this is where my template is, but I leave all this extra wood and we're gonna balance that on the sled when we make the dado. Also, I have a little bit of wood between here and the straight line. I'm gonna clean this up at the edge sander. See here, see there, the top of the leg as well as the bottom of the leg. That way we can true up all these surfaces almost bang on. We're still doing it by hand. We're humans, you know, we're gonna screw some things up. But I think these are some pretty darn sexy legs. And Matt is cutting out dining chair number 8, which has no arms. So here he is at the big bandsaw. Smooth operator right there. Okay, so here's the 2 chairs we're working on. And you notice here we have a transition. The leg is skinnier right here versus where the headrest goes on, as well as where the seat mounts. This stays your outside surface of the board. Same with this line here, but we're gonna remove a bit of material here on the inside of the leg, stopping above the seat, below the headrest. Same thing on the bottom of the leg, on the inside here, we're gonna remove all that up to the seat. Same thing on the front legs, remove that to the seat. This one's the same. See, we're gonna have the little transition, so we're gonna cut out some wood here, here, and here. Now this piece on the inside, we're actually gonna save it, glue it onto the outside. You can see a little glue line there. And that's gonna help with the curve of the arm going into the chair. That is a shout out to Hal Taylor. He does the adder block on the arm, and I love how it looks. So let's go have a look. So we can see the legs here, what I've done. So see, we've taken our measuring ruler 1 3/8 from the outside, draw a line all the way up, stop here. This is just a rough curve. Same thing here, outside all the way down, right through the arm, stop at the seat. Same thing, we're coming out here and coming out below the headrest. So you'll end up with 2 legs like that. Now the dining chair number 8 has no arms, so there's no arm pad outer block to save. We can see Matt's over here. So he's cutting out the inside of his arms. These are the adder blocks I'm talking about. See if I can do this right. So this adder block was probably, so there you go. That was on the inside of the leg. So see, this is smooth. This is a bandsaw. So this block is gonna be able to come to the outside and then get glued onto the chair right here. So that's the arm pad adder block. Right now though, I'm gonna be gluing in a block in between here. The length of this, the thickness of this, and this is gonna create the leg joint. We're gonna have a 3-degree splay in this chair, where the dining chair number 8 will be a 90-degree, a bit simpler. Okay, so we got the back legs here. This is the adder block, turned out to be 3.5 inches by 7 inches. And this will get glued in between these 2 legs. These legs will come down flat like that. And then we're gonna glue that in there. Squish, bunch of glue. Okay, there we go. So this is the adder block in the center of the 2 legs on the inside. And this front face is nice and smooth. That's what we're after. We're gonna be cutting these in half and then adding a 3-degree face on this adder block. That's the whole point of that. Okay, we got the seat trimmed up to size. This is some really, really nice ambrosia maple. Got a little bit of curl going on to it. And Matt's over here trimming it up. We just use a sled here at the saw shop. Seats are trimmed to size. We've picked our top face, which direction it's going. We've taken some Sharpie and laid out where the back joints will be. These aren't measured, I just draw a square. The table saw is set up so the blade's 3 inches high and 3 inches off of the fence to the outside. The front legs are gonna be made with a notch that goes in here. And it will be done with a jig, combination of the bandsaw and then a router with a spiral bit and a bushing. So we're gonna be making a notch 3 inches wide. The one without arms is gonna get 1.25 inches, and the one with arms, it'll be less than that because the leg will stick out a bit. I forget the exact measurement. So here's the setup at the table saw to cut the rear joints. We have the blade 3 inches high, 3 inches from the fence to the outside of the blade. We have a miter gauge with a large fence on it. It's gonna be 4 cuts. We're gonna slide this whole assembly through. There, and we'll have 2 corners. 2 corners like this cut out of the seat. By the way, everyone say hi to Matt.
How's it going, folks?
He's usually quiet. I feel like I've been bossing him around today, but it's just because this chair is all in my head, and that's what we're going from. So we have the front leg notches that we're now cutting out. This will be 3 inches by 1/2 inch deep. Still 3 inches, but this one's going to be 1.25 inches deep. And we just laid out the jig to get that. He's going to go to the bandsaw now and make about I don't know, 10 or so cuts, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. And we're gonna break away most of this material and then use the router to clean it all up with the jig. So we've made the curve cuts over at the bandsaw. Just gonna take a chisel and very satisfying, like, break away most of that waste. So you're not routering that all out and burning out your bit. We're getting rid of most of the waste very crudely, let's put it. That's fine like that. Jig's gonna come over, has a registration. We're gonna clamp it down. Make sure it's where you want it. I'm good. Second clamp. Great. So we have our router. It's got a 3/4 inch brass bushing. So Matt can capture that. And we have a 1/2 inch spiral bit. Wow. There's the spiral bit. So there's no measuring for the depth of the notch. You're gonna put the router on there. If Matt comes around to this side, because I've moved the jig, we can push the router bit down just to the top of the jig. We don't want to cut any of the jig, and then we're going to tighten it up. I move it around just that I'm not interacting with the jig, and I'm happy. That's my depth, and that's where we're going to plunge to. We can lock. Now we can lock the turret. In fact, I don't even plunge. I just leave it like that. So you get it like that. Trick is here, on the left-hand side, I want to be pushing. On the right-hand side, I want to be pulling. I actually clear out all the center material first without hitting the sides, and then I deal with the sides. So let's do it. Very important, let the router come to a full stop, then pull it out. You have a lot of bit exposed. It's very easy to hit the jig. Before I remove the jig, I blew everything away and have a good look, make sure you've hit everything. And I do multiple passes to do each side. I don't necessarily take all the meat at one shot. I kind of push the router over, let it take some, and then I kind of just go around maybe 3 times. All right, so this is what our next step is. We're gonna be creating this tongue in the seat joint at the front joints as well as the back joints. There it is there. We're doing this at the shaper table. You can also do it with a handheld router. So Matt's just gonna get to it. This is the setup at the table saw for adding the 3-degree splay. This is how I do it for all my chairs, but we're gonna be splaying in. So that means if we come over here, just to confuse you, I drew this line backwards, but we're actually using this wedge. It's at 3 degrees. So this is straight, but that's angled. And it's gonna cut it in a way that it's gonna leave more material on the bottom here and take away more material up here. That is confusing. When I push this through the saw, most of my pressure is actually on the jig. I'm not pushing much on the leg, you know, the clamps, I don't want them to let go. So most of it's right there through the jig. Okay, we've gone ahead, we've created our front leg billets. We've also gone ahead and laid out our joint location. Basically, we trace our template, we mark the top of the dado, which is on the template. We measure the tongue that we created. Remember, we created this tongue. And then that's where this line gets drawn. So we're gonna be making a dado here. It's gonna go around the side of the front leg, and then also the side of the front leg here. And then on the back legs, a little bit different. because the joint is actually only on the two faces. So it's on the front face as well as the inside face for both the dining chair 8 and 9. This is the dado we're going to create, 1/2 inch deep, and then we're going to fit it to the seat when we start getting close. Very simply, I have a sled here that we're going to be putting the leg on, and then it will just slide through the blade a little bit smoother than that to create the dado. This is the router bit that we use. So it's got a 1/2 inch bearing, 1/2 inch depth of cut, and a 1/2 inch height of cut. So this comes in here, and the bearing basically, you know, it rides on our notch that we created. So it's spinning. So that's how you get that shape. So it's going to ride all on here, cut here, and then come on out, creating that tongue. And in the description, obviously, is a link to this router bit. Okay, it's always an exciting part. The legs are fitting onto the chair seat. You can see how the dado fits over that tongue on the front face and then on the inside face. And we can see the splay that it has. It gets slightly wider at the bottom and actually narrower at the top. Now all we need to do is do a 3/4 of an inch round over on this inside corner. You can see here, this is stopping it. And also on the front legs, it has a round over on the 2 inside corners. And we just do that with a 3/4 inch round over. Here is the round over. And we just have it set flush with the top surface of the table. I'm talking like a robot for some reason. All right, things are moving along nicely with the chairs. I got my 2 back legs fitted. Matt's got his first one on here, and it is like beautiful. That's what we want right there. Now, the height of your dado blade, if it's a little bit shorter than the tongue, which is okay, because we can't put the wood back, but we can take it away. So we're cleaning it up with a little shoulder plane here from Veritas, couple passes, test fit in the chair, and you can get a very, very nice fit. So we've already rounded over the inside edges on these back legs to fit that Maloof joint. And then what's remaining is our front leg. We're gonna round over these 2 inside corners. That'll match up with these 2 inside corners here. All right, so the back legs are on. Once you have this step accomplished, I want you to trace a line onto the leg that represents the seat surface, and you're also going to put a tick at the back of the leg and at the side of the leg. This material here will get removed to that line. Also trace the bottom side of the seat onto the leg, and now we're going to be able to trim this excess wood away. But this initial line that we traced on here doesn't necessarily line up perfectly, so we're going to adjust that line to this line that we just traced on. Now, using the original back leg template or this little template here, we're going to continue this line and we're going to match up with where we drew this line for the seat surface. See that the lines are a little bit off on that side, and on the back side is where you're going to use this jig. We're going to continue that straight line, and then we're going to line up with the seat surface again and just trace that line. So there'll be 4 cuts on the back legs. Those 2 there, 1, 2, and then over here, 3 and 4. So those finish off down to the seat surface now. All this extra material was just better balance on the dado sled so we can cut that dado accurately. So with those 4 cuts at the bandsaw, 1, 2, see coming down to the seat surface, 3 and 4, it really refines the back leg. Look at the difference of this big chunky thing to now this pretty much fully refined leg. The joinery looks great. We got a 3-degree splay, tongue and groove. Super happy with how this is working out. So we're trimmed up. 1, 2, 3 and 4. And you're okay to leave a little meat. See here, I actually have a little bit of meat. Once this glues up, we're gonna grind that away very, very easily with the Kutzall rotary rasp and the air die grinder. Okay, so we've wrapped up the back legs for now. We're gonna move to the front legs. The dado's done, but just on the inside 2 corners, you can see we're still square. We're gonna put this 3/4 of an inch round over. And it only needs to go about 3/4 of an inch top of the joint and bottom of the joint. And this is done here with the 3/4 inch round over at the shaper. Front leg dado joints cut. I like eyeing it up from the outside here because you can kind of line up where the dado is going to be. And ooh, baby. Here's a little tip that'll save you some headaches. When we're taking the legs off, Matt, you want to smash my leg off? We have a clamp right across the nose here. Because right here is actually kind of brittle when you're hammering this out if it's too tight. So this is going to hold this tight and hopefully you won't have any issues. So the front legs are off. This is the template traced on there so you can see. So it was registered to the top. We marked our dado, we cut our dado, and now we did the roundovers, and I just traced this little bit of a curve back on there. So we're going to go to the bandsaw now, cut this all out. Leave a little bit of meat here. We're going to clean this up at the edge sander or disc sander, whichever works for you. So we have the shapes of the front legs cut out, and now we're going to use our stop ruler again from the outside edge, measure 1 3/8. We're going to draw a line all the way up, and this is registering from the outside of the leg. And you're going to stop just below the joint and kind of hand draw this little curve from the top down. If you're doing arms, same idea. And just hand draw that curve, and then we're going to go head back to the bandsaw and remove the insides of the legs here to create the transition into the seat. So while Matt's trimming up the legs, we're also going to router in the back brace holes. These are where the holes are going to be. There's going to be 5 of them. This is the Hal Taylor back brace hole jig. This is going to go on the chair. Basically, you're going to give yourself a center line. You're going to measure up 1.25 inches. And that's where this is going to be. You want to use, see there's small, medium, and large. We use the 5 small holes. We do that with a 1/2 inch brass bushing and a 1/4 inch spiral bit. And that just follows all these holes. We're going to go 5/8 of an inch deep. So just like that, we got the back brace holes are in. These are flat-sided ovals because the back braces are removable, so the round top is going to slide up, and this needs to be an oval so the back brace can't spin in a full circle because we don't have them fully glued in. Now I got a seat side template, which Matt's using right now. And you're going to line that up with the very outside of your seat right here. And it comes back to that mark that you marked when you had your leg in there. For the back, it has a curve on it. So see that slight curve? I actually use a drawing bow, so it's adjustable. It has a little strap on it. You could also just use like a lamination, a thin piece of wood. But it's very important that when you cut this here, you don't want to continue this curve and go through and come behind this line. If anything, you want to come away from that line, and then you have a little extra tongue that you can grind into the leg instead of having missing wood where the leg is. Very important. So we're going to go ahead to the bandsaw, trim up both sides and the back right now. We'll be mounting the legs then, and then we're going to work on the crest rail. Now we have two templates. This one here for the front cutouts. It just has a center line. You match it to the center, and then you turn and you match it up to this line, which is created by this template. So this is gonna go right up flush, square. I know Matt's trying to jump in and help me out here. He's like, oh my God, he's struggling. Yeah, so it lines up flush to the front, goes up the center line. You trace it, and it also has these holes in it that you put some circles, and these are where we're going to drill for our depth holes. So we're gonna have 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and then these ones in the back will be 1 inch. And then from there, with this outline, the depth hole, we can carve down. We also will mark a pommel, so we have a line right down the center and at 5 inches. So this is going to stay full height and be sculpted away from that also, and then sculpted away from it in this direction. Our next maneuver on this would be cutting this out with the bandsaw here, and then the seat is ready to carve, but we're going to go on forward with the actual fabrication. But we will cut out these two things right now with the bandsaw. So this is what your seat should look like. Maloof joints cut, back brace holes routed in, seat sides back trimmed, two cutouts here at the very front. We have our seat layout, we have our depth holes ready to be drilled for the depth, and we have a center line drawn on here marked at 5 inches for the pommel. Sweet. These are what your legs should look like right now. If you're doing the armless, this is the leg. So we just need to sand it and do some routing. We leave the extra material on top here, just, it's easier to hold it. This is the number 9 with the arms. So instead it has that extra top bit there that's cut out. Then we have the back legs for number 8. Data joint cut. This is trimmed off, it's got its shape. Number 9, it's got the adder block in there, so we got the splay, trimmed up all sides, and now we just have to add the arm pad adder block. That's what we need to do right now. Okay, now we're moving along with gluing the arm pad adder block onto the outside of the leg. Now this piece was created from the inside of the leg. It was right here, and literally it's just gonna go to the outside and get glued fully on. Matt's done the first one. Here it is here, and don't be shy on the clamps. This is a visible glue joint on the side of your chair. We want it really, really clamped on there. We register this face, because this is what we want lined up perfectly against the assembly bench here. Kind of clamping it down to the assembly bench while clamping everything together. So, get clamping, add some glue. We are now working on the crest rail for the dining chair number 8. You want to measure between your Maloof joints. That's going to be how long you need the headrest. The blank itself is as thick as you can dress 8/4 lumber. And we're going to draw a center line on it. We have a template, which is going to go on there, match up to the center line. Matt's going to trace the front and back. Then we're going to bandsaw those slight curves. Then we'll come back and we'll lay down our front template on it, trace those curves, and he'll then head to the bandsaw and cut those out. Okay, while Matt's been working on his crest rail, I've just gotten the back supports to their final width. This was the first time doing it at the table saw there. It did work good. I usually put them through a drum sander or a wide belt sander, and that's after cleaning up one whole edge on the jointer. I'll put them all in a bundle like this and then run them on the jointer. I didn't capture video of that. So Matt has his crest rail now cut. So we have the front and back curve cut, that was done first. And then we have the top and bottom curve. So there's a slight curve there, and then this one here that's gonna travel into the seat. So this was left large. We're gonna decide now where we wanna mount it, height-wise, because we want this curve to flow through the top of the leg. And once we have it in place, we're gonna be able to drill for the screws. We're gonna have 3 screws here, plugged with ebony, eventually. So the crest rail is mounted in the dining chair number 8, and now we're gonna move on to dining chair number 9. A little bit trickier because there's a 3-degree negative splay, so it gets smaller as it gets to the top. We're gonna use this same wedge that we used to cut that 3-degree splay on the leg on our table saw sled, like so. This is gonna be our crest rail, and we've exaggerated the angle lines with a Sharpie marker. We were able to put this using the jig on here, and then we're gonna be cutting this edge off. So you can see it's gonna be cutting less down here and more down here. So you actually wanna have it like that. Is that right? I don't know. Hopefully we figure this out. Once the crest rail is fit, we're gonna do the same operation as dining chair number 8. Mark a center line, use your template to trace the back curve, front curve. Go to the bandsaw, cut those out. Then using your template for the front of the crest rail, trace that on there, and then go to the bandsaw and you'll cut your bottom curve and top curve. Get to work, Matt. To the bandsaw. Safety first. Okay, so we got the arm blanks ready to go. They're 7 inches tall, 19 inches long. And at this step here, we need to cut out this curve, and we're gonna immediately glue this to this side, and it will create the curve of the arm. It's a cool little Sam Maloof trick that he does. So we got that curve, and this curve is just drawn with a drawing bow. We just wanna leave enough wood here and enough wood here that it's not too flimsy during the glue up process. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now. Okay, so we just resawed these at the bandsaw, so you're gonna need a height of at least 7 inches. Check out this Sam Maloof trick, I love it, it's for the arms. So we got our very straight block. We're gonna take this now and we're gonna glue this onto this side, and you're gonna see that, look at that curve that we get. Same thing with this one. And all of a sudden we have 2 arms that have really nice curves to them. So a lot of clamps, a lot of glue. Let's get on it.
So I think we can fit one more on there?
Yeah, it looks like it, folks. So we cut out the curve at the bandsaw, and immediately we flip it inside out and glue it together. And yeah, it's a few clamps. This could be one operation if you have a vacuum bag. Get her all set up, and it'll save you a bit on the clamping. If you have a bunch of clamps like this, that's great. Okay, we're gonna leave those arms in the clamps. The glue is gonna set up, and we're gonna move on with the back supports. We've already cleaned them up, both sides, and we've squared the bottoms. Next up, we're gonna make this tenon in the bottom, and we're gonna do that with a tenoning jig at the table saw. 2 cuts will give us a perfectly centered tenon. You want your tenon to be slightly larger than the holes that you have, because you can sand that tenon to fit. So we're gonna get on with that now. After that, we're going to trace a little template. There'll be a curve right here that we trace on. We're actually gonna trace it onto the back side, and we cut that at the bandsaw. Then we'll spindle sand this little curve, and then that will be the bottom. We gotta fit the bottoms, and basically repeat the steps for the top, but it's slightly different that instead of it just being equal, see this curve's equal both ways, it's gonna have a bit of a stepping in it. So we start with the center back support, which is equal, and then this is matched to it. This steps up a little bit. This is then matched to that one, steps up a little. Repeat the same on the other side, matched right here, steps up. This is gonna have a match to this back brace, and it will step up. So now on the back side, using your template, we're gonna be tracing on these 2 curves, curve there, curve there. The template's flush with the bottom of the back support, and then you wanna make sure the edge is parallel to your tenon. Then we'll go to the bandsaw and cut these curves. You can leave the line on because we're going to spindle sand it. Okay, now we use a 1/4 inch roundover bit. It's set a little bit low, and I have this piece of wood called the donut to raise it up a little because of the curved back support. We're still gonna be a little wide for the mortises in the seat, the holes. So I have my spindle sander going, and I like to basically sand the two sides, staying nice and flat. You wanna keep a flat-sided oval. Then you touch the curves a little bit, and you kind of go back and forth, testing in your chair. You want to have it as tight as possible fit pretty much while safely putting them in and out. So we use the spindle sander just to refine the tenon, refine the curve, just so it fits into the seat very nicely. So it's a little bit of back and forth, but take your time and do a really good job. I'm working on the holes for the crest rail. So I've laid them out. They're 1 inch from each end. This one's gonna be at the center, and then this mark is just centered between those two marks, 1/2 inch from the front edge. Now I'm gonna stick this back in the chair and add some lines for the splay. I'm gonna see how this spot lines up with the hole in the seat and draw a line. Okay, we have the bottoms of the back supports, both chairs fitted into their seats. And we can see they're fit with the back support to the back side of the crest rail. I've also marked the holes on the underside. And what we need to do is put a straight edge from this hole up to this mark, and we're gonna mark a line because there could be a little bit of splay. It's not necessarily straight up and down. You want the back brace to follow that line. So Matt's just using the straight edge from the bottom hole to line up to the marked hole in the bottom of the crest rail to mark the drilling angles. Although it's almost straight up and down, it's a good little visual reference. The other lines we're gonna add on right now also are for the screws. So we've marked them on the side there, and then we'll just take another lamination. And I always have this one going down pretty good. This one's going also down, about the same, maybe a little less. And then this one's about straight across. So you should have a bunch of lines on your crest rail now. All right, we're ready to drill the crest rail holes. I have a tapered drill bit from Lee Valley. It's designed for number 8 screws. We're using GRK number 10s actually. Now here's the trick to it. If you just go in the center of the hole and drill straight through, well, you're gonna have a hole coming out of the front of your headrest. Not good at all. So you need to follow the curve of this headrest. Problem is, if you stay in the center of the back of the hole, as you put the screw in, the screw is gonna hit the side of the hole. So this is the direction we need. That's where we wanna be. So in the actual hole that you're drilling, you actually wanna be to the back side of it and to the bottom. That way when you're all lined up to your marker line, okay, I'm on my marker line and now I'm to my headrest, you can see at the leg surface, this drill bit is centered in the hole, and that's what you want. That way when the screw goes in, the head won't catch the side of your hole, leaving you a dent, leaving you with an ugly, comfortable chair. We don't want that. So I'm gonna drill this now. We get it all eyed up. So I'm at the back of the hole, I'm matching the marker. I look over at the crest rail, and I'm pretty happy with that situation. I like it just started. Have a look again. I'm actually not that happy yet with that. So let me just see what I can do here. I look pretty good on the marker, I suppose. I'm just too far back in the hole. I don't want to be so far back. So I start my tip, markers on. Okay, there we go. Here we go. Keep having a look. There we go. I go to the tape, pull her out, and we're just going to repeat that process for all the other holes. Put your screws in. Before I put the screws in, I drill that hole out with a 3/16 inch drill bit. We only want to go through to the other side of the leg. We don't want to drill in here. What this is going to do is that the screw won't interact with the leg. It's actually going to be clamping the leg to this, so it will actually pull this tight against. All right, so we have the crest rail fully mounted in now with the screws. We put our back supports back into the back side of the crest rail. And what we're going to do now is make sure they're all the way in the bottom. You want to feel it hit the bottom or hear it hit the bottom. You're going to pull it forward. Our hole that's drilled on the underside of the crest rail You want to center that on your back support. Great. And then we're just going to trace the shape of that back support. So I'm going to bring this forward, just visually look at it. Yep, my hole's centered. Great. Draw that line straight across. So we've got all the back supports pulled out, and you can see where I've traced on the seat, and then we're going to be adding 1/2 inch from the center of that tracing up, and then we're going to cut this using the table saw sled, and then repeat the process of making the tenons for the top side. So here we are at the table saw. I use my sled and the fence to just give me a 90-degree. That way I can slide them all down. The ends are all touching. And with our template, there's a line on it. I have that at the bottom, and I'm gonna trace that. These are both the same. I then put a little tick on here and I match this curve with the template, and then the one next to it steps up a little. So just use that line again, and then this one matches, and then that one steps up again. So that should be what you have. So the center one's even, this one matches, steps up, matches, steps up. Same thing here, matches, steps up a little, matches, steps up a little. Gonna go to the bandsaw, cut that out, spindle sand, router this. This is actually a round tenon that's gonna go on the underside of the crest rail. So we're gonna get on with all that now, and we're gonna get these fitted into the chairs. Exciting. Okay, so Matt has his tops rough shaped, and now he test fits it in the headrest hole, knows he's a little bit big, and just at the spindle sander, he's really refining that shape. And then he'll come over to the chair and we'll give it a test fit, and then we'll drop the back braces in. Got my set fitted nicely. Here they are inside the chair. Give you a good look. The arms are out of the clamps. We're going to go to the jointer, clean up the bottom face, just keep the back edge along the jointer fence and clean it up. This back face, we're going to put it on the table saw using a sled, and we're just going to place it on there, slide it through the blade, clean up this back end. That'll be at 90°. Now you will have an angle this way on the arm. You want to put it on your chair, have a look what it is. What we like to do is on the sled itself, we don't adjust the table saw blade. We use a stack of laminations to adjust up the arm to the angle that you want, and then we run the whole thing through the table saw blade. All right, so the arm fits wonderfully. We're gonna take it off, and you're gonna draw an X on the front leg, corner to corner. We're gonna use a dowel center. Drill that in there, place the dowel center in the leg, then we're gonna place the arm on top, mark where to drill from here, drill both sides, and then that will be this joint done. You can actually put the dowel on and then rotate the arm into position if you've done it really, really well. All right, the arms are on the chair, and all we're doing is on the inside of the arms, we're gonna mark a tick on the farthest front of our leg, back of the leg, top of the arm joint and bottom of the arm joint. We're gonna take these off the chair, trace the template onto the inside, and then we're gonna head to the bandsaw and give these arms some shape. Because right now, they're just two big blocks of wood. Well, we got some curve going on. That glue up really worked out well. Now, I don't always make my chair seats the same size, so sometimes this arm's gonna be shorter or longer. If that's the case, in the center is where you wanna add or take away material. We're gonna line our template up to those two ticks, and we're basically gonna trace over half. We're gonna have that lined up there, and then we're gonna pull it slightly forward, and then again, trace just past half, and we're gonna end up with our arm right there, and we'll be cutting that out of the bandsaw. Okay, we have the chair up on the assembly bench, and we just marked a line for where the screw is gonna be. We will have a heavy round over on the top edge, definitely a round over on the bottom. If anything, you want to be biased slightly low. And we're gonna have a 4-inch GRK screw in there somewhere like this. So we're gonna take a 1/2 inch Forstner bit, drill that, then we're gonna use the tapered spiral bit from Lee Valley, drill in fully, and then throw the screw in. And then we'll officially be done the fabrication of both the dining chair 8 and 9. Keep going until the head's fully in. Now you can start turning it if you feel like it. All right, I know that was a little nerve-wracking, but we got it drilled. We're gonna add the screws in now. We got the GRK, so they're hardened. They have a Climatech coating on them, so they'll never rust. They have very, very deep threads, a Torx head. Just everything is good about these screws. I really, really like them a lot. Think you hit the hole or not?
Good.
He's good, he says.
Oh yeah.
And that's it. Fabrication's done. What do you think, Matt?
I think it's awesome. Love it.
All right, everyone, that's it. That wraps up the fabrication video of the dining chair number 9 and the dining chair number 8. Super exciting. Thank you for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Say bye, Matt.
Bye, Matt.
Bye, Matt. And as a reminder, subscribe to my channel. Matt's going to be starting his own too, of Earth Furniture, I assume.
Yep, I'll go through Earth Furniture.
Cool. And we have templates available for purchase, digital, paper, or laser cut for both the dining chair number 8 or number 9. And finally, this is the full build video. Matt's going to be creating his own build video as well, which will be even more detailed through every single step. So stay tuned for that as well. But if you get a set of plans, I want to say thank you very much for the support. And I wish you the best of luck on your build. You'll get a beautiful chair, a comfortable chair, and one that will last for generations. So that's it. That's the how-to build video for my dining chair number 8, as well as my dining chair number 9. If you've got my templates, thank you very much. If you haven't, and you didn't know, you can get my templates for both of these chairs as well as other designs. I offer a digital download where you can print it yourself, a paper copy that we'll send in the mail to you. Thank you, Amy. And we also have laser cut plywood templates available for most of my designs, not available for all of my designs just yet. And that was a long one. If you have any questions about the build process that you're not fully getting from this video, no problem. Shoot me an email, maybe even leave a comment below. And as always, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel already. If you haven't subscribed, that's crazy, because you just watched a 50-minute long video and you're not subscribed to this channel. Come on, get with the program. Please subscribe. All right, everyone, make it a great one.